How is this crazy Championship promotion race going to finish at the end of the season? Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. There's more twists and turns at the top end of the Championship, and today we're going to talk about it. As always guys, we've got lots of things to talk about in the EFL Championship, so make sure to share your views down in the comments. Go for it. Predict 3 teams to be promoted come the end of the season, and if you are feeling brave, predict 1 to 6 in order in the comments down below. How do you think this is going to finish come the end of the season? Before we get into the video guys, please do make sure to drop a like. We'll go for 1,000 likes on this video. It's free to do, so certainly click that thumbs up button, and while you are there, make sure you have hit the subscribe button. Once again, it's free to do and it really helps the channel, so like, subscribe, and let's talk about the Championship promotion race. So then, if you look at the table next to me, this is the state of play in the EFL Championship as we are in the penultimate week of the season. Now, of course, we're going to come on to some crucial games in hand, which you can see there, but let's have a look and work out who's actually involved in the promotion race. Well, let's cut off Preston and Middlesbrough because they cannot mathematically make the playoffs anymore. Coventry City and Hull have got in this sort of orangey colour because they both have a chance, and they both play tonight against each other, which is a crucial game we'll come on to in a bit. Occupying the final playoff places, 5th and 6th, are still West Brom and Norwich, but they've both dropped points recently, which has maybe left an opportunity there for the playoff race to be open again. And then, as you can see now, after Leeds United's 4-3 win against Middlesbrough and Leicester City's 5-0 win over Southampton, it has left Southampton's chances of making the top 2 virtually nil. I don't think they can do it. Yes, they can mathematically do it if everything goes their way and there's a massive goal difference swing, but they are pretty much out of it now, and they will go to Leeds United on the final day in what will probably be an anti-climax for them. Maybe not for Leeds though. And then, as you can see, Ipswich and Leeds, it's so close to separate those two. Ipswich Town still have the highest upside with the game in hand. Leeds have a point advantage and the better goal difference, which does suggest Ipswich need to get 3 points from the game in hand to leapfrog them. And then, as you can see at the top, Leicester City are now on the brink of promotion. After a few questionable performances from Leicester City on the road at Millwall and Plymouth, they're back on track with back-to-back home wins, and now are 1 step away from the Premier League. So then, like I said, there's 2 separate battles going on here in the Championship promotion race. There's one where Coventry and Hull City are still going to try and scrape into the playoffs, and then of course you've got Ipswich, Leeds and Leicester locked in the race for the top 2 places. Let's start with the playoff race quickly then and just distinguish a few things. Now, of course, Coventry City and Hull City have games in hand. Coventry have 2 games in hand due to the FA Cup run. They are against Hull City and Ipswich, and as for Hull City, their game in hand is of course Coventry. Now, they play tonight. Let's talk about this. Tonight, Coventry City host Hull City at the CBS. It is a must win for both when you look at the gap between them and the top 6 places. Both of them can reach 75 points, but at least one of them won't, of course, because they cannot both win tonight. The loser of tonight's game's playoff chances will hang by a thread. Now, that said, neither team can be mathematically out of the top 6 race with a loss tonight, but they'd need something miraculous to happen to get themselves back into it, and it really does feel like a draw would be no good either for these two. So it's winner takes all to put pressure on the top 6 going into that final week. I've got to be honest, it's going to be a really interesting matchup. The fact that West Bromwich Albion and Norwich City have both dropped points recently just leaves the door open ajar for Coventry or Hull City to possibly get in there. Now, like I say, from either of them, it'd have to be a pretty flawless run, and obviously I can't see them both getting into the playoffs, although that is still mathematically possible right now. It's a really fascinating game because they'll both have to go for the win, and the winner will still have a decent chance of trying to close one of West Brom and Norwich down. I think the interesting thing here is you're not just clawing at one team. If it was just 6th place up for grabs, you'd maybe think, well, if they keep winning, we can't control that. But because there's 2 teams in West Brom and Norwich, it only takes one of 2 to slip up a bit, and maybe that would open the door for Hull City or Coventry. So then, if you're looking at it from a West Brom or Norwich City perspective, West Brom and Norwich both just need 4 points to be mathematically secure of the playoffs. They need a win and a draw from their final 2 games to be mathematically safe. As I say, it could be that they get 3 points and they still sneak over the line. Even 1 point could be enough, depending on how Hull City and Coventry City perform. A draw at the weekend keeps the playoffs in their own hands going into that final day, although they'd obviously love to win this weekend, and we'll come on to those fixtures in a minute. Both Norwich City and West Brom will be hoping for a draw between Coventry City and Hull City tonight. Now that really does go without saying, doesn't it? Because both Coventry and Hull probably have an equal chance of getting into the playoffs right now. Hull City have a 3 points advantage, Coventry have the game in hand and the better goal difference as well, which could be crucial, but like I say, for Hull or Coventry to do it, they'd probably have to win all of their games starting with tonight. So look out for that one. Coventry City versus Hull City. I am going to it. I'm doing a match vlog for it, so look out for that at 11 p.m. tonight. It's a big game. It really is. Winner takes all, and the loser will hang by a thread. With all of that said, let's move on to the top 2 race. So then, like I said earlier, Southampton are all but out of having a chance of making the top 2 after the Leicester City defeat. It wasn't that they just lost it, but they lost 5-0, which crushed their goal difference even more, which wasn't even close to Leeds United and Ipswich Town's anyway. So Southampton are almost certain to just finish in the playoffs now. Leicester City have opened up a nice gap now and need just one more win or one more Leeds United defeat to be promoted. It could be that Leicester City don't win any more games, but they still get over the line because they've opened up a cushion now, and if Leeds lose once or Ipswich lose twice, then Leicester City are going back to the Premier League at the first time of asking. All things right now do point towards a fight for second between Leeds United and Ipswich. Now that does seem to be a pretty obvious observation to make right now when you look at it. Oh, it's Leeds and Ipswich, but I must say, having watched the Championship for many years, and in particular this season at the top, it can be very unpredictable, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Leicester City lose their next game. Ipswich and Leeds both climb up with a win in their next games, and it all gets very close going into that final week. Right now, my hunch is Leicester City will get over the line. I think they've almost done enough now, but when it comes to separating Leeds and Ipswich, it is just unbelievably close. My head has been telling me Leeds United all season, even when they were quite far behind Ipswich. But it's really difficult with Ipswich right now. They've been fantastic this season. They've had this 2-week break before they play Hull, Coventry and Huddersfield all in a row, which makes me think I don't know what to expect. Hull City and Coventry maybe still fighting for the playoffs. Huddersfield could be fighting for their lives to stay up, and I don't know if the 2-week break will have helped Ipswich Town or not. What we do know is before they play on Saturday, Leeds United will have played again against QPR, and that one for me, Leeds United have to win. I think if they don't win that, it really does hand it to Ipswich Town. Even a draw is no good for Leeds. They have to win it, and if they do, Ipswich Town will have to win their next 2 games in a row to go back into the top 2 going into the final weekend of the season. It's all about who's going to be in the hot seat going into it, because on the final day, Leeds United do have the more difficult game than Ipswich, but, oh God, like I say, it's the Championship. Who knows? So then, with all of that said, let's have a look at the team's fixtures here. And like I say, there's 8 teams that still have a mathematical chance of being promoted. Leicester City are in the hot seat. They've got 94 points with a very strong goal difference as well. They've got Preston away and then Blackburn at home. Preston away, obviously Preston don't have anything to play for anymore. So if Leicester City can get the business done there, they are promoted. They could be promoted before that, of course, if Leeds lose at QPR on Friday. On the final day, Leicester City host Blackburn, who could be fighting for their lives to stay up, and if Leicester City haven't secured the top 2 by then, that could be really interesting. Leeds United go away to QPR, who are obviously fighting for their lives. They're nearly safe after that win against Preston, which Leeds United fans will be fairly happy with, but with QPR not being mathematically safe yet, I think that's going to be a really fascinating matchup where they could both do with a result. For Leeds United, it has to be a win. And then, as we said, it's Southampton at home on the final day. It might not mean a lot to Southampton, but right now it looks like it will mean a lot to Leeds United. Then you've got Ipswich Town, who have got 3 games. Their goal difference, as I say, is not as good, but they do have the power to jump into the top 2 with a win in their game in hand. It's back-to-back away trips to Hull City and Coventry, which do look pretty tricky on paper. Ipswich Town fans will probably be hoping that Huddersfield Town have already been relegated by the time they play them on the final day. Otherwise, the Terriers will surely put up a fight to stay up. That could be a massive game for both. As for Southampton, we'll just quickly mention them. They host Stoke City and then go away to Leeds United, but ultimately, I don't know how much you'll be riding on those games for the Saints. points. As for West Bromwich Albion, if they can pick off 4 points from Sheffield Wednesday away and Preston at home, they will mathematically secure their place. Even just 3 points might just do it, considering their goal difference is pretty strong as well. The Sheffield Wednesday away game, though, does look a pretty tricky one on paper, given Sheffield Wednesday have had a real rise at the bottom recently. West Bromwich Albion go into that game with 2 defeats in their last 2 games. As for Norwich City, they are in a similar position and kind of similar fixtures here, but the other way round to West Brom. They host a team in Swansea City with not a lot to play for, and then go away to Birmingham City, who could be fighting for their lives. As we said, Norwich City need 4 points to mathematically sew up their place. It could be that 2 or 3 points might just do the job as well. Norwich fans, do share your thoughts. The power is in your hands, but that Birmingham away game does look a tricky one. And I've got to be honest, I'm surprised you dropped points at home to Bristol City last week, given your incredible home run recently. As for Hull City and Coventry, you can see they've both got games in hand. They both play tonight, as we said, and realistically, the loser will not be able to make the playoffs after tonight. The winner, though, will certainly be able to apply the pressure on Norwich or West Brom. After that, Hull City play Ipswich Town at home and then go away to Plymouth Argyle. You can bet both teams will probably have a lot to play for in those games. As for Coventry City, they go away to Blackburn at the weekend, then host Ipswich and host QPR. It's going to be 4 games in quick succession here for the Sky Blues, and given that they've just gone all the way to extra time and penalties against Manchester United, it's going to take a lot out of Coventry City, but they might as well just go for it, otherwise they've got nothing else to play for. There's still a chance Hull City or Coventry could sneak in there, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on tonight's game. So then, they are the fixtures for each of the top 8 teams in the Championship as we head into the final few days now. I mean, we're counting down the days. It's been an incredible season, and of course we've got the playoffs to look forwards to afterwards. It's really interesting. Obviously, as a Coventry fan, I'm hoping we can sneak into the playoffs, and Hull City fans will be thinking the same thing. I honestly think tonight's game is really huge in context of both of our seasons. I cannot see a way in which either of the teams don't win tonight but still make the playoffs. They have to win this game tonight. As for Norwich and West Brom, they'll just keep an eye on this game tonight and see how it plays out, but the power is in their hands. So right now, I think you'd be a fool to write them off of making the playoffs. But like I say, with Sheffield Wednesday away and Birmingham away as some of their fixtures, I think the door is still open and we could have a final day shootout for a playoff place. Then of course you come on to Southampton, who are in that strange position now. They're the only team really in the top 8 with not anything to play for. Yes, as I said, you could still say that they can mathematically make the top 2, but it's not on, is it? They'd have to beat Leeds up 10-0 on the final day to have any chance. So it really is a shootout between the top 3, but with Leicester City being in a very strong position. Ultimately, as I said, I think it probably will be Leeds or Ipswich. It does look like it could be incredibly close here. A question to you guys: would you rather have the game in hand, or would you rather be in Leeds' position with a point and much better goal difference, which is almost essentially worth 2 points? That 4-3 win against Middlesbrough has really put the pressure on Ipswich, and if they can beat QPR as well, then I'll be leaning towards Leeds still getting over the line. However, if there is a slip up in the QPR game on Friday, then my head would turn towards Ipswich Town, certainly being more favourites to get over the line. But right now, it's really hard to call. Leicester, Leeds, Ipswich, Southampton, West Brom, Norwich, Hull City and Coventry fans, share your thoughts. How do you think this is going to play out? Do you think there could be a bit of an anti-climax and it's all wrapped up before the final day, which is a possibility? Or do you think we're going to have loads to play for on the final day in the Championship promotion race? Definitely share your thoughts, guys. If you've enjoyed the video, please make sure to drop a like. We're going for 1,000 likes and we will be back to revisit the Championship promotion race in a few days' time. Make sure to subscribe as well. It's free to do that and it really helps the channel out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and peace out.